Hey, what's up, guys? Norcetto here. Thanks for stopping in, and welcome back. It's been a while. It's good to see you. You look good. You look good. Lots to discuss today. There's a ton of stuff's been happening with roster changes, roster movement. But I want to start off first by talking about this interview that Sephy did with the Tactical Crouch podcast. Great group of guys over there. Give them a follow. I'll put a link in the description below to the show specifically that he was on. Sephy's always really good about answering questions, being forthcoming with information and honest and kind of thinking through what he's going to say. And this was no different. There's a ton of good information about roster building in 2019, roster building in 2020, player development, finding roles for the players on the team, just a ton of good stuff. I instead of going over each and every bit of that, I just heavily encourage you to go and listen to that. It's just a great listen. But one of the big takeaways from this interview was the roster building for 2020, in which he reveals that we are definitely going to be looking to have 12 players signed, which I had mentioned before that I thought that was there's a lot of benefits to having a full 12-man roster, internal scrims, things like that. But and especially with travel, being able to rotate players. That was another thing that he mentioned, is that with so much travel, it'll be great that, maybe one or two travel homestands that all the players will show up to. But for the most part, having such a big roster will allow players to rest and recuperate while they have other players be able to go and play. So, I think it's a very, very smart move. Some people might be unhappy that, they're not going to have like a standard set of starters, but with so much question of burnout in Overwatch and esports in general compared to traditional sports, and with the travel being added on top of everything else, I honestly think this is going to be the best for the team, the players, everything. I think for teams that aren't going to be doing that, you're going to see them perform really well in the beginning of the season, and then as burnout starts to hit, I think those teams are going to start falling off later on. So we don't know. Travel, this is going to be a whole new thing coming up next year, but I really respect the decision and what Sephy was saying as far as who's going to be sent to different events and stuff. But yeah, let's jump into it. We've had some roster movement. I want to start by giving farewells and well wishes to the people that are no longer with the team. Kasaurus, our assistant coach, someone who was always willing to be in front of the camera in the rain rising, who really cared about his players, not just in the game, but making sure that they took care of themselves, their body, their minds and stuff. And I think a lot of the player development and improvements we saw from a lot of people, a lot of that could be credited to Kasaurus. I know Sephy had mentioned that the reason that they had to let go of Kasaurus was essentially he happened to not speak Korean, was I believe what the wording was. And this actually came, I believe, from a Reddit comment that Sephy said that, not the interview. And a lot of people took that in different ways, but the way I took it was more that with especially the Daco situation that happened earlier in the season, where there was obviously some high tensions and communication breakdowns and things like that. Even with a translator, not having a native speaker on the direct coaching staff and having to have an intermediary when it gets to be really heated and there's high emotions. And this is both sides. This is player trying to communicate with the coaches and the coaches trying to communicate with the player. It's probably easy to feel like you're not being heard as much as some of the Western players. And that says nothing about the translation ability of Domecq. I have it on good authority that he is one of the best in the league as well as esports. I've heard great things about how good Domecq is, but just having to have an intermediary in general is just something that's gonna cause a breakdown in your real intent of trying to get things across. So I think having to let him go in order to replace him with a coach that is a native Korean to help facilitate the Eastern players is an overall good decision. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to miss Kasaurus. He was one of the first people that I talked to one-on-one after the team was announced, after the staff and players started being announced. He was always a really nice guy. It was great to meet him at homestand, and I wish nothing but the best for him. So Kasaurus, if this gets back to you, man, I love you, and I hope the best for you, man. I hope you get a coaching job soon because you absolutely deserve it. Moving on, we also let go of InLayer, and InLayer, it was a really difficult one with him, just because it seemed like we were always struggling to try to find where exactly he fit into the roster. Obviously, when Goats came around, he could have either gone with Zarya or Brig because he's a DPS player, and you have Defran, who is insane, and you have to have Defran in there on Zarya. And then Erster is just, I think the way that Sephy put it in the interview was that Erster is just so elegant on like so many different heroes, and they're so good and mesh so well that InLayer is not a bad player by any means, but it was just hard to find an appropriate place for him. Now, we did start seeing him more in the in stage 4. He was a starter on May, and he did a good job. But even still, I mean, with Baby Bay having his communication ability behind the scenes on comms, and Erster just being Erster, you know, it's one of those things that was just really unfortunate. I think InLayer is a fantastic player. I just think we struggled finding a good place for him. After he was let go, though, he did make a post saying he was disappointed in the communication. And this was this was a big deal. I mean, he basically said that by the time he realized he wasn't going to be 100% playing for the Reign in 2020, it was too late to get a lot of trials for other teams. They had already made their decisions, and that's true. That's unfortunate. Sephy basically said in this interview and in a Reddit comment, I believe, that that's true. Sephy could have been better about communication. He could have. You know, a lot of players actually put out tweets and stuff like that saying, hey, I'm open for trials. I'm still with my team, but they told me that I could try out with other teams. That apparently wasn't communicated to InLayer, and Sephy regrets that. But at the same time, InLayer never asked. He never said, you know, hey, what's going on? Hey, can I try out for other teams? Hey, you know, things like that. And with the struggle to find a permanent place for him in 2019, I think that it would have been good for him to be a little more proactive. That doesn't mean I think the blame lies on him. If anything, I think that some of the signing rules within Overwatch League are a bit of an issue. Sephy actually said that as well, that to be highly competitive, you have to keep your players as long as possible while trying to get other players, and it kind of breaks down and is a problem. This is not, Atlanta Rays is not the only people who dealt with this. InLayer is not the only person that got lost through these cracks. There's a lot of great players out there that got dropped from teams and didn't get a chance to get picked up because of just weird signing deadlines and things like that. So it's unfortunate, but I feel like there is blame to go all around. I don't think it's specifically on anyone. I do want things to be changed, and I regret how it happened. I really hope the best for InLayer. I hope he finds a team that he's a great player. And I know that Sephy also said that after the fact, after this all came out, he went out and tried to give personal recommendations to try and get trials and stuff, but when you're playing from Russia and the ping is that high, it's just really hard to you know, showcase the skill you have. So again, InLayer, I loved having you on the team, man, and I hope the best for you. I would love to have retained you, and yeah, I really hope to see you in OWL and continue playing Overwatch.
We also lost Daco, and you know, there was a lot of speculation that this was going to happen. Obviously, there was some drama surrounding Daco early on, and expectations that he was going to get kicked off the team because of certain things. And I'm really glad that Atlanta retained him for as long as they did and let him go in a very respectful way. There was rumors that he was going to get picked up by NYXL, but as of right now, that has not happened. I think Daco has some maybe maturity issues to work through, but that's stuff that's going to get overcome very quickly. And I think if he can find a team that he, you know, works really well with and can really give him support to grow, I think Daco is going to be absolutely terrifying. So keep an eye out for him. As of right now, he has not announced that he is going to be on any team. He's not. He hasn't been picked up, or there's been no announcements. But I with his skill, I really think even if there's questions about how he works with a team, I think there's plenty of people that are going to be willing to take that risk because of how just skilled and amazing and hilarious Daco is. So yeah, Daco, I wish you the best. It was great having you on the team, man. But I really excited you haven't announced the team yet because you're scary and I don't want to face you. But I do hope you find somewhere to land.
But moving on from that, we also let go of Funny Astro. Now, Astro is one of those. This was far less drama filled. I'm actually happy for Astro. When you have someone like Massa on the team, it's hard to sign another player in the same role and expect them to be able to play as much. Even though Astro is one of the best in the world, it's hard to compete with Massa. And when you're that good, you deserve a spot as a starter on the main stage. So Astro got picked up by Philadelphia Fusion, and we should be expecting to see and beat him next year. Which I'm glad he's going to be on stage. I hate that we're going to have to embarrass him next year, but and make him regret his life decisions. But but I'm going to be happy to see him on stage. So yeah, that is who we've let go of. It seems like everybody else is being retained. I know there was another little blip of drama that popped up. Massa on stream had made a comment about his options still being open, and that he wished there was. He was streaming and lamenting on the fact that they hadn't started boot camp. A lot of other teams have started boot camping and things like that and working on the next season, while the Atlanta Reign has not. And I think Massa just wants to be proactive. He feels like, man, I want to do more. I want to be training. And he sent some emails asking, hey, what are we doing? What are we doing? But this was over the Thanksgiving break and things got piled back a little bit. Massa actually showed up on a Reddit thread discussing this and basically said that the email thing was, he emailed asking about things, but it was during the holidays when things were getting backed up, so it's completely understandable. He said he definitely wishes they would be boot camping, but he completely understands why they're not when it comes to things like holidays and people spending times with families. And the thing about his option was sarcasm, and we don't need to worry. From all signs, we are retaining Massa and Dogman. It seems like we do have 2 more spots open for support players. But when it comes to the ones that we have, I believe we are keeping them. I don't think there's any bad blood there. I think Massa was just frustrated. But moving on to additions to the team. So let's start out with Kasaurus's replacement, Mentalist. Mentalist is a coach from GC Busan Wave, and they have been in Korean contenders for a while, or the Korean scene for a while. They changed their name a few times, but they've been around for years. And Mentalist just seems like an overall really friendly, outgoing guy. Like if you follow him on Twitter, he's very active, talks about all sorts of stuff, posts pictures of going out to eat. He has a ferret that is super cute. I really want to know what that ferret's name is. If you know what the ferret's name is, let me know. It just really seems like a good guy, and I think he's going to do well to slide into that role of the Korean coach that can communicate well with the players that we have, with Pokpo, with Erster, and with our new DPS signing, Edison. Edison is another person from GC Busan Wave. He is a hit scan player, considered absolutely nuts. In a similar way that a lot of people talked about Erster before the 2019 season, saying that he was sleeper MVP for the year. A lot of people are saying the same thing about Edison. And GC Busan Wave hasn't had a lot of like super high successes in the last couple years, but they've been consistent with the level of competition in Korea. Having consistency and having players that can consistently pop off and be incredibly skilled is much more telling than making your way through this tournament or that tournament. I mean, some of the best teams. Runaway. How long did it take them to actually, go through and make it to the top? That was one of the big things about them. That it doesn't necessarily detract from anything by not just getting first place all the time. And from everything I hear and from things I've watched about Edison and about Mentalist and GC Busan Wave, they're absolutely insane. Do not sleep on them. Edison and Erster as a combination are going to be deadly, and I'm really excited to see Mentalist come in and help build a bridge and help work with the players and help kind of bring everyone even closer together in this mixed roster. So between those two new signings and new pickups, I'm really, really excited to see what our DPS line looks like next year, and just how everybody performs and how everybody grows. We also picked up Sharpe. Sharpe, you may remember, played for Envy in Contenders and did an insane job. He played for Optic Academy for a while. He's a Swedish player. He turns, I think he turns 18 in like a week. So he's young, fresh, really, really good hit scan player. I'm really excited to see where he's going to fit into the team. Like I said, I think Edison and Erster are going to be a big go-to for us, and I think we're going to kind of rotate in Baby Bay and Sharpe and things like that. But also keep in mind that the rules for two-way players for ATL Academy and the Atlanta Reign have shifted a little bit. I think we can option up to 4 people at a time, and they can be rotated a little more fluidly. But with all the travel and stuff, it huge pickup, absolutely huge pickup. I think he was one of the biggest reasons why Envy went so far and did so well in Contenders. And I think bringing him over and bringing more European talent onto the team is huge. I love seeing how diverse our roster is, and I'm really excited to see Sharpe wearing the jersey. We also officially signed Gator and Hawk to the main roster. Now, Gator, I assumed, he was a two-way player, and with him playing at the very end of last season and how well he performed and how insane he was carrying in Contenders, as well as the news that our Contenders team was beating actual OWL teams in scrims. I was hoping, I was really excited when I heard, and I'm really, really happy that Gator got picked up and is on the main roster. Hawk, I was scared. Hawk was not. Hawk was going to get picked up by a team. Hawk is absolutely nuts. And I knew he was going to get picked up, but I was worried he was going to go somewhere else because of how many people we have competing for our tank position. But knowing that we're having a 12-man roster and seeing who we have now Popo, Gator, Fried, and Hawk. We pretty much have everything covered that we need to have covered. And again, Hawk is he just turned 18, so he was definitely going to get picked up, and I am so thankful he stayed with us. If you're not familiar, if you haven't been watching ATL Academy, Hawk has been probably the best diva in Contenders and probably better than a lot of the ones you'll see in OWL. I talked to him a little bit at DreamHack, and he's really hoping for Diva to come back into the meta, and as am I now that he's on the main squad. So Hawk, welcome to the big leagues. Gator, congratulations on being moved up permanently. You guys both deserve it, and I'm really, really excited for both of you guys. So that's the roster moves. That leaves us with 4 tanks. We have Popo, we have Fried, we have Hawk, and we have Gator. That leaves us with 4 DPS. We have Baby Bay, we have Sharpe, we have Edison, and we have Erster. All insane. But something you'll notice there is that actually Baby Bay, Edison, and Sharpe are all hit scan, and Erster is really the only projectile. But when you see people playing at this level, a lot of them can
swap roles or be very fluid with the characters they play. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some of these players getting really good with characters maybe they are traditionally not known for. But as far as raw talent, I'm really, really excited for all of that. Support line, we have Dogman and Massa still, but that still leaves 2 openings. And I don't know, man. I'm really curious as to where we're going to go with that. Now, Kodak, you remember, was moved down to ATL Academy last year. There was not a lot of fanfare about it because for all intents and purposes, Kodak was still a Reign player. But as far as the paperwork went, he was an Academy player. Because we could only have 2 two-way contracts, and it was Gator and Funny Astro. But Kodak is insane, and I feel like one of the reasons we didn't have so much fanfare was because maybe Atlanta knew that these rules changes were coming about the fluidity of the two-way players, and basically were like, I mean, you're still on the Reign. Let's finish out the season. You're going to be on the Reign again. But there has not been an official announcement there, so I'm not sure. But that leaves us with another support player. We lost Astro, who we may have picked up hoping that he could be our 4th support player, but he's left us, which so there's a lot of options that are out there, a lot of great support players that could come in and fill some roles. We have Elk. I know I think he wasn't interested in continuing to play in the highest levels after not being picked up this last season. There's Sleepy got transferred over to the Washington Justice, and then they dropped him, and he's out there. There's just so many talented support players out there that I have no idea which direction we're going to go. I'm really hoping we do retain Kodak. I like Kodak a lot. Super friendly guy, and I really like having German players. I used to live in Germany, so I feel a connection there. And Kodak shares my birthday, so Kodak. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, or just let me know what you guys think would be a strength for our team, whether or not you think we need to pick up some Eastern support players to kind of fill in with the rest, since we've picked up Edison and Mentalist, and we still have Pokepo and Erster, or whether or not you see some talent in Europe or NA or any other region for that matter. Don't sleep on Australia. But yeah, that's the open-ended questions we have right now, is where we're going to go with finalizing our roster and what it's going to look like as we rotate people in. So overall, I think our roster is looking really, really strong. A lot of people are saying that the Atlanta Reign in Season 3 are going to be heavy hitters, contenders for a top spot. I feel like we were supremely underrated last season, and because of some roster issues and having to rebuild the team after stage 1, we had to get real scrappy and fight our way back up, and we did it. So if we can retain this team going into season 2 with the coaching staff and what we know, I think we're looking real good. I think we are looking fantastic. Definitely expect to see Atlanta in multiple top 10, probably top 5 lists of preseason rankings based on roster moves. And that also opens up a question about where we're going with ATL Academy, because right now we're essentially down to, I think, Kodak, Saucy, and Sugar Free are the players there, and Perfect, who, except for Kodak, they're not eligible because of their age yet. But we still have a lot of roster spots to fill there. Are we going to pick up more young players? Are we going to send down players from the main roster to Academy to stay warm for those maybe rotations mid-season or something like that? I don't know. There's a lot of options out there for what we can do, but something that Sephy mentioned in the interview was this development of young talent, and that not having experience playing is something that can very easily be overcome. If they have the skill and they have the ability and they want to learn, that lack of experience is something that you can get over real quick, and I think we have the staff to handle that. But yeah, another shout out I want to give based on this roster stuff. I want to give a shout out to our content team that we've developed over the last few months, especially. Every single one of the players that we've let go, it wasn't a simple "see you later" tweet. It was there was a video made, and it was a good farewell to the players that we lost. A lot of people just, all right, they're gone, see you later. But the content team actually put together a real appropriate send off, and I really appreciate that. I got to meet and talk to some of the new members of the Reign staff at DreamHack. The crew that this team has put together are top notch, absolutely fantastic people, and I couldn't wish for a better team and a better staff to support. But yeah, guys, that is essentially all I have for today. I'm going to keep an eye out for more news coming up. Tell me what you guys think. What do you think of our roster? What do you think we're going to look like going into 2020? Yeah, what do you want to see? But I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping in. And until there's more news, catch you guys later.